touch. When I heard the first time about your theme, I was thinking, touch, this little word, there are so many meanings in this word. You can physically touch something, you can emotionally touch somebody, you can stay or keep in touch, you can make a touchdown, you can be touchable or even touchy. So for me as a psychologist, it's quite important because all these meanings are connected to contact. And as a speaker and a business coach, I help companies and managers to build long-lasting relationships with their employees and their customers, and to make the right decision in difficult situations. And so I thought touch is a good topic, even for my topic. And when I came here yesterday, I live in Venice, and I come to the airport, and I discovered at the check-in this. And I was asking myself, how on earth did you manage to promote your event even at Venice Airport? But my topic today is talking about emotional touch points. So let's get in touch. When I coach managers or leaders, there's always the question of, why shall we listen to you? You are talking about leadership, about ethical leadership, about treating people with ethics and decency. There's a book I wrote about, it's called Leadership Without Mind Games. And they asked me, well, Frank, I'm the manager, I'm the captain of this ship. And I'm not here to go with my crew on a cuddling course. At the end of the day, it's all about money, and it's about data and facts. And I say, okay, let's have a close look to this money issue. Because there is a Gallup study, and they discovered every third employee is unsatisfied and unhappy with his or her boss. And what they discovered is people are attracted by companies, by the image of companies. And companies pay a lot for this image. So it's cool to work at this company. They are attracted by the image of the company. But when they get there and they get in touch with the leaders there, sometimes they are repelled by one particular manager. So people come to companies, but when they are leaving them, they are always leaving managers. And qualified people are leaving to get to the competitor. And they take their knowledge with them, and so you are supporting your competitor. But if things went really worse, they will stay in your company. They will stay although they are not motivated and although they are unhappy, because they think this is the last chance for them to get a job. And of course they will do a very little poor performance. And the guys from the Gallup study, they tried to figure out how much this costs. And they came up with a number. And they came up with the number 105. And 105 stands for 105 billion euros loss every year only in Germany because of unhappy people and unsatisfied and unmotivated people. So we are talking about money. And I come originally from Germany. I'm born in Hamburg, and there is this long tradition with sailors and salespeople and trade, something like that. And there's an old saying, which might be true here as well: you won't get rich from the money you earn, but you get rich from the money you don't spend. And here's a lot of money left on the table. And this is something I'd like to talk about. When it comes to leadership, leadership is quite often about having goals, having objectives. But leadership is not always like on this picture. This is a picture I took in Iceland, where I had the privilege to talk recently. And you see, this is a straight road. There are no crossings whatsoever, no pedestrians. You have a clear sight. There is also indicated where the road is heading. And the only thing which might be of interest for you is the one car coming there, and he has also the headlights on. So there's a clear aim, there's a clear obstacle, and everything is clear. This is an ideal situation, and you do not have it in your daily business. In daily business, things often look like this. There are many, many similar informations, impressions, and you have to figure out what might be the difference there. And so, getting to your goal, getting to your objective, is something which might be difficult. And leadership is also about getting people to do what you want them to do and to reach your objectives. And sometimes leaders, they are trying everything, even psychological trickery and manipulation, to get to their goal. And I will give you an example from my own experience, from a time when the tall Frank was just a small Frank. This is in the late 60s. The little Frank lives together with his parents in a small apartment in Hamburg. There is not much money, but there is a television set. An old black-white television set. There are only 4 buttons. You have to go to the television set to switch the button. It doesn't matter because there were only 3 channels at that time. And there is this TV journal, this TV guide, and the little Frank loves to look into this TV guide because there are the movies announced which are shown in the television. But the little Frank has got a problem. The little Frank doesn't know the clock yet. He can't read, he just looks at the picture and he can't understand these cryptic numbers he saw in this TV guide, and he can't figure out what this means. But something is really quite clear to the little Frank very quickly. The really good movies, the really interesting ones, they are shown at 20:00. If only the little Frank would know whether 20:00 is still a time when little children are allowed to watch television. And what are you doing with this lack of information, this immense question mark? Of course, you are referring to this source of wisdom, to Mommy. Mommy does not only know the clock quite well, but she may also give, under circumstances which might be good for you, a TV watching permission. Mommy? Yes, little Frank? Mommy, I've looked into this TV guide. Uh-huh. Mommy, I've looked into this TV guide. Yes, little Frank, and what did you discover? Mommy, there's a movie with cowboys and Indians, and I'd like to see this movie. May I see this movie, please, please, pretty please? When is it shown, little Frank? 20:00. Oh, little Frank, 20:00. This is far too late. This is so late, even Mommy and Daddy aren't watching this movie anymore. No, no, this is so late. Everyone is asleep. From my today's point of view, I ask myself, why didn't I stumble upon the fact that these incredible movies are shown when almost everybody is asleep? But at this time, I took comfort from this explanation. And then it happened. One day, the little Frank is waken up by something, and he is shuffling, almost still asleep, to the living room. And there is the big TV party in full swing. Mommy, Daddy, crisps, candlelights, wine, good mood. And in the television set, there is this movie from 20:00. You might imagine how this would have been for this little Frank. This was my last day in paradise, because from this moment on, I was quite skeptical about the things my mother told me. The first thing I doubted was this thing with Santa Claus. Maybe he doesn't even exist. But I questioned a lot of things I didn't question as to this day. And this is something which happens in business also. Sometimes it is worth everything to get to your goal, and you are not thinking about the future and the loss of trust. And trust is something which is really, really hard to achieve. And so my question is, what can you do to build a long-lasting relationship, to get trust? And here's the bad part. Axel also talked about trust. But trust is something you can't build actively. Trust is something which is brought to you when the other person decides you are trustworthy. Trust is something which arises in your counterpart. and you can do something to make people trust you. For instance, don't tell a lie. If you know that 20:00 is a time when adults are still watching TV, don't tell they are asleep. My mother could have dealt in another way with this situation. She could have said, little Frank, 20:00, this is a time when children belong to bed. And this is the time when grown-ups are sitting and watching the movies for the grown-ups. This might be something that little Frank didn't like. But it would have been honest, and she would have taken her responsibility for her leadership position. And sometimes leading means making hard decisions. If you want to be everybody's darling, you should think twice of getting in a leadership position. Because being everybody's darling is very, very difficult in a leadership position. Sometimes you have to tell unfavorite truths or make unpopular decisions. And being ethical and being decent and treating other persons with respect is something which might be an emotional touch point. Every time you get in contact with people, you can earn an emotional touch point. But this is a long, long journey. Sometimes it takes a lifetime to achieve trust, and sometimes it takes only a blink of an eye to lose it forever. And maybe you know it from your own experience. When you feel betrayed or manipulated by someone, or used or even misused, the relationship isn't anymore as it has been before. And it never will be. So, having a long-term perspective, having a long-term goal, and investing in honesty and decency and respect is something which is worth if you want to build long-lasting relationship. And it's all about trust. Trust is the resource of the future. And trust is everywhere, even if you are selling chewing gums. If I don't trust you, I won't even buy a chewing gum from you. Not to talk about bigger issues. And being decent and being ethical is quite easy when things are easy. But when things become difficult, when there is stormy weather, and when you are desperate and insecure, this is something you might look differently on your behavior. It's not a big thing to keep the only handicapped parking spot free when there are lots of spots everywhere. But think of Saturday afternoon, you are in a hurry and there is only one spot left. And this is the spot with the wheelchair on it. Maybe you will find a good excuse to use this spot. Only today, of course. But maybe things change when things become difficult. And I would like to share with you one tool. a tool for these difficult situations. I'm not talking about the normal, usual difficult situation, the situation you have to make almost every day. I'm talking about really, really hard and difficult decisions. When you're not sure, when you're in an inner struggle, and not because of you don't know the options. The options are often quite clear, but you are not able to decide whether to go this way or to go that way. And for this situation, I will share with you a tool, and this is my ethics compass. And I like this picture of a compass because a compass is an instrument which you can use if you lost your course, if you lost your goal, if you need to get back on track. That's the instrument you can use for this situation. And when you are looking closely on the compass, there are these 4 letters: north, east, south, and west. And each letter stands for a direction you can think of in a difficult situation, in a really difficult situation. Let's start with the N. Think of a difficult situation, and N in this case stands for network. Think about your network. What would your colleague, your boss, your partner, your wife, your husband, your best friend say when he gets to know about your decision? And the next letter, E, stands for ethics committee. Think of your decision given afterwards to an ethics committee to judge about your decision. How would they judge and what would they think about your decision? And S, this means second time. Would it be possible to make the same decision twice? Because if it works only once, this might be some hint for a trick you used. This is the same my mother did because she was in the advance of knowledge. If your employee doesn't know what 20:00 o'clock is, you can tell him everything, anything. But only until he gets to know it. So, would it be possible to make the decision a second time, or would you feel uncomfortable with it? And the next one, the last one, W, stands for World Wide Web. Think of your decision going viral, spread over the internet. Think of your decision as a headline on the newspaper at the next day. How would this be for you? Would it be okay? Would it be embarrassing? This might be helpful in difficult times and difficult situations. And I brought a little gift for you. I printed for you this ethics compass on a card. There's this compass, and there is written "Stay on course," which might be also a good leadership slogan. And you can pin it to your corkboard or your refrigerator if you like. And in a distant future, at a day we hope will never come, and you are in this difficult situation, You can refer to it and you can turn it over, and on the flip side there are these 4 expressions. So if you like, I brought some for you. I will put them down here. Please feel free to take 1 or maximal 2 for your partner who might need this as well. Okay, so when we are talking about emotional touch points, this is like the dots on a ladybug. The more emotional touch points you collect, the more trustworthy you will get in the eyes of others. So if you have 2 emotional touch points, this would be nice, because 2 is less than 4. But 4 is not so much as 3. But better it would be you have many, maybe 6, or even quite a lot of emotional touch points, because these emotional touch points, they will make you shine. Thank you very much.